On the edge of a quiet English village, where the rolling hills of the Cotswolds met winding country lanes, stood an old manor house. Hollowbrook Manor, as it was called, had been empty for nearly 20 years. Its tall windows were dark, ivy crawled up its stone walls, and the great oak door hadn't been opened since the last of the Hargrave family moved away. Most villagers avoided the place. Children dared each other to run up the gravel drive at night, touch the door, and run back before the ghost of Lady Hargrave caught them. But for 17-year-old Alice Whitmore, Hollowbrook Manor was less frightening than fascinating. She loved mysteries, and the thought of secrets hidden in the manor thrilled her. One Saturday afternoon, Alice was sitting in the tea shop with her best friend, Thomas Fletcher, a lanky boy with spectacles and an endless appetite for scones. "You're not seriously thinking of going inside, are you?" Thomas asked, buttering a warm scone. "I am," Alice said firmly. "No one has set foot in there for years. Don't you wonder what's inside? Letters, paintings, old furniture, or rats, spiders, and the smell of mold?" Thomas muttered. Alice smiled mischievously. "I heard from Mrs. Green at the post office that the manor has been sold. New owners are coming next month. If we don't explore it now, we'll never get the chance." Thomas groaned. "Why do I let you drag me into these things?" The next afternoon, under a pale autumn sky, Alice and Thomas cycled up the winding lane that led to Hollowbrook Manor. The iron gates were rusted but ajar. They pushed them open with a squeal that echoed through the silent grounds. The manor loomed ahead, grand and gloomy. Its chimneys rose high, and the windows seemed to watch them as they approached. Alice's heart thudded with excitement. "Last chance to back out," Thomas whispered. "Not a chance," Alice replied. The front door was locked, but Alice had anticipated this. She led Thomas around the side, where a small servant's entrance stood. To their surprise, the door opened with a gentle push. Inside, the air was musty and cold. Dust hung in the shafts of light that filtered through cracked shutters. The floorboards creaked as they stepped into a long hallway lined with portraits. Pale faces stared down at them, stern men with sideburns, elegant women in pearls. "This is actually incredible," Thomas admitted softly. Alice's eyes sparkled. "Let's see the library. Every manor has a library." They wandered through room after room, a drawing room with faded wallpaper, a dining hall with a massive oak table, and finally, the library. Floor-to-ceiling shelves covered the walls, filled with leather-bound books. Dust coated everything, but the room still carried an air of grandeur. As Alice ran her hand along a row of books, one volume tilted forward. The shelf swung open with a groan, revealing a narrow passageway. Thomas's jaw dropped. "A secret door? You've got to be joking." Alice grinned. "Now we're talking." They stepped inside. The passage was dark and narrow, leading downward. Thomas fumbled for his phone and turned on the torch. The passage ended in a small stone chamber. In the center stood an old wooden chest. Alice knelt and tugged the lid open. Inside lay bundles of letters tied with ribbon, a silver locket, and a faded diary. She opened the diary and read aloud. "October 12th, 1892. If anyone finds this, know that my brother Edward is innocent. The truth lies within these pages." Alice and Thomas exchanged wide-eyed glances. They carried the chest up to the library and began reading the diary. It belonged to Lady Margaret Hargrave, who had lived in the manor over a century ago. According to her diary, her brother Edward had been accused of stealing a priceless necklace belonging to the Duke of Wexford. He had been disowned and vanished from society. But Margaret insisted he was innocent. The necklace had been hidden in the manor itself, concealed to protect Edward until he could clear his name. "But he never did," Alice murmured. "He must have disappeared in disgrace." Thomas tapped the page. "And if the necklace was hidden here, maybe it's still somewhere in the house." Excited, they searched the library, looking for any mention of where the necklace might be hidden. The final entry of the diary gave a clue. "The dove guards the jewel." They puzzled over the line until Alice noticed a carved wooden dove on the mantelpiece. She tugged at it, and with a click, A panel slid open. Inside was a small velvet box. Her hands trembled as she lifted the lid. There, glittering faintly even in the dim light, was a necklace of diamonds and sapphires. Unbelievable, Thomas breathed. Just then, a loud creak came from the hallway. They froze. Someone was in the house. The footsteps drew closer. Alice quickly shut the box and hid it in her bag. The door swung open, and a man in a brown coat stepped inside. He looked startled to see them. "What on earth are you two doing here?" he demanded. Alice swallowed. We were just looking around. Who are you?" The man sighed. "Name's Mr. Harding. I'm the estate agent. The new owners asked me to inspect the property." He frowned. "This place isn't safe. You shouldn't be here." Alice and Thomas nodded nervously, and Mr. Harding escorted them out. But Alice kept one hand on her bag, clutching the necklace. That evening, as they sat in Alice's room, the necklace lay between them on the bed. "We can't just keep it," Thomas said. "It belongs to the Hargrave family, or maybe the museum." Alice nodded slowly. "But first, we need to prove Margaret was telling the truth. If we show the diary with the necklace, Edward's name could finally be cleared." They agreed to take the items to the village historian, Professor Ellery, the next morning. Weeks later, Hollowbrook Manor was buzzing with excitement. The story of the lost necklace and Lady Margaret's diary made headlines. Edward Hargrave's name was cleared at last, and the necklace was displayed in the county museum. Alice and Thomas became local heroes. On a crisp winter morning, as they stood outside the manor watching the new owners move in, Thomas nudged Alice. "You realize," he said, "you've probably just ruined every ghost story in this village. No more Lady Hargrave haunting the manor." Alice grinned. "Oh, I don't know. Mysteries don't just disappear, Thomas. They wait for people like us to find them." And with that, Hollowbrook Manor's story closed, but Alice's adventures were only just beginning.